Homelessness. It is a universal human problem. In every part of the world and throughout human history, there have been individuals and families that have not had a place to call home. They've not had a place where they were confident they could return night after night. They've not had a place where they could securely leave their meager possessions. They've not had a place where they could reliably return to meet their family. They have not had a place where they could sleep securely. Around the world and throughout human history, people have been driven from their homes by war, persecution, natural and man-made disaster, disease, and drought. Despite our prosperity and economic success, the United States is not exempt. A census of the homeless conducted earlier this year counted over 8,000 homeless men, women, and children in Harris and Fort Bend counties. The count grew to 13,000 when jail inmates without a home address were included in the figure. This is Travis Park in downtown San Antonio. Dedicated to the veterans of the Civil War, it's located 2 blocks north of the famous San Antonio Riverwalk and 5 blocks west of the Alamo. Even though it is so close to the tourist area, few visitors ever come here. However, for many years, it was a place where the homeless would gather. That's because located at the southwest corner of the park is Travis Park United Methodist Church. For many years, the pastor here at Travis Park United Methodist Church was Mike Lowry, now Bishop Lowry of the Central Texas Conference. For many years, the homeless that stayed at Travis Park would come across the street to this store at the side of the church building. Down in the basement, the church had a soup kitchen where the homeless would receive food. They had a counseling center where they could receive advice on services, mental health assistance, clothing assistance, and even in the cold winter time, sometimes when the weather was bad, even a place to stay. The homeless ministry that was run out of Travis Park stands in the great tradition of the Christian church. Concern for the stranger and the homeless extends back to the Old Testament. In the Torah and through the prophets, God reminds the Jews that they were once strangers in Egypt. They too were once a people without a home. As such, the people of God were commanded through the law of Moses to provide for the needs of the homeless strangers in their midst, providing them with the necessities of life and treating them with the same justice as their own people. In Christianity, Jesus also taught that love is to be extended to the homeless strangers. In the parable of the sheep and the goats, the righteous are praised and the unrighteous chastised for their treatment of the strangers in their midst. Come, you that are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you for the foundations of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me. Truly I tell you, just as you did it to the least of these who are members of my family, you did it to me. Throughout the centuries, Christians have shown love of God and love of neighbor by providing aid for the homeless, by addressing the long-term root causes of homelessness, and by offering relief to those who suddenly find themselves without a home due to some unforeseen circumstance. Last September, in the midst of the worst drought in decades, Wildfire erupted near Bastrop, Texas, just southeast of Austin. Only 2 lives were lost, but 1,645 homes were destroyed, and thousands of people suddenly found themselves without a place to live.
In the total area, I think the count is up to about 1,800 homes, and that's homes in this condition. That's the destroyed homes. I have not even heard a count on homes that have smoke damage, and we don't know how we'll be able to assist those people. But typically, if the house was touched by the fire, it's in this condition.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you from what's left of the home of Ed and Beverly Layton and their daughters Brianne and Brooke. Ed is one of the members of Cedar Creek United Methodist Church. His home is obviously, as you can tell, essentially non-existent at this point. He's currently sifting through the ashes to see if there's anything at all that they can retain that will help them to provide memories of the place they used to call home. Persons from the Disaster Response Unit of the Southwest Texas Conference are here to be of assistance to him and his family. As all of you know, there are biblical injunctions and there are real-life experiences which say that there are mountaintops and there are valleys in life. Folks in our annual conference, particularly in the Austin district, have been experiencing some of those valleys, and we as United Methodists are connected with them. Today, I want you to know that we are committed to being in connection and being of assistance and being in mission and ministry to as many people as we possibly can for as long as they need it.
People who find themselves displaced by disasters, such as the Bastrop fires, typically recover. For most of these people, their homelessness is temporary. Assistance from both the church and from the government is usually distributed fairly quickly, and many individual homeowners are covered by insurance. But for others, the psychological and economic loss are simply too much. In Bastrop, Joplin, and New Orleans, businesses were also lost as well as homes. Without jobs, individuals are left without a path to recovery and become part of the chronically homeless. For others, the cause of their homelessness is much more individual.
I went from a 6-figure potential job, a midtown townhome that I owned, 401k, pension plan, a separate stock portfolio. I'd own my own business at one point on the side, to absolutely having nothing. I had gone through my divorce and lost contact with my first son, and my second son was 4 months old, and I was living on the streets. I could deal with having to find a place to take a shower every day and possibly begging a friend to sleep on their sofa or their floor so I wouldn't have to sleep in that shelter. The hardest thing for me was not having a place where my son could lay his head with me, in the sense that his mother, of course, had a home. And not only that, she had enough heart to allow me to spend an hour or two with my son every day, because she realized that was all that I had.
It is individual stories such as these, rather than the mass homelessness caused by political and environmental turmoil, that cause people to fall into long-term homelessness. Major causes of long-term homelessness include alcohol and substance abuse, low wages, and family rejection, problems that do not have quick and easy solutions. Also, though Texas has fared better than most of the country, the current economic climate has created a large number of unemployed that are unable to buy or rent housing. 3 miles beneath my feet is a huge oil-rich shale formation known as the Eagle Ford. In April of 2010, this area was open for oil exploration and gas drilling, and since then, a lot of it's been happening. The Eagle Ford has created an oil boom in far south Texas. In the short term, there's a high demand for oil rig workers. In the sparsely populated counties, there simply are not enough able-bodied men and women to work the rigs. A large number of unemployed rig workers from western Pennsylvania and Ohio, desperate for work, have come to small towns like George West to find a job. In our current economic crisis, desperate people are spending everything they have just to get to the Eagle Ford. Once here, 3 out of 4 fail the drug test. Having gambled it all on finding a job they didn't get, George West finds itself with a problem they've never faced before. Fortunately, travel in and out of George West is limited. 1 bus a day each direction, with limited seating that must be shared with other small towns in the area. Still, several hundred people have come to town in Now, one thing we can question as to whether paying $30 for a bus ticket to send someone from a county like Wyvern to San Antonio is really the Christian thing to do. I mean, after all, aren't we supposed to love our neighbors and care for them ourselves? But when you have a county like Live Oak that only has 11,000 people, there's only so much you can do. Here in Bexar County, with a population of almost 1.5 million people, there's simply a lot more resources. Sometimes the loving thing to do is to send them on. Now, they don't send them on alone. They do contact the services up here and tell them that they're coming. And that way, when they hand them off, at least they're handing them off into arms of love. But even in a large city like Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, the resources needed to assist the homeless present a challenge. Temporary housing has an occupancy rate of 98 to 100%. The waiting period for permanent housing is at least 6 months. Supporting amenities such as laundry, ovens, and refrigerators create ongoing expenses. In San Antonio, many agencies consolidated their efforts to serve the homeless by creating Haven for Hope. This central facility is located just west of downtown and is, in part, supported by funding from the City of San Antonio, Bexar County, and the San Antonio Independent School District. The major operators of the Haven for Hope campus are the same organizations that have traditionally assisted the homeless for decades: the Roman Catholic Church, the United Methodist Church, and a consortium of Christian and Jewish organizations that form the San Antonio Metropolitan Ministries, or SAM. While Central Assistance Campus sounds logical, many of the homeless suffer from substance abuse or mental illness, which not only clouds their judgment, but also makes them distrustful of government authority. The City of San Antonio originally proposed a vagrancy law to coincide with the opening of Haven for Hope, effectively criminalizing homelessness anywhere but this central campus. That proposal has since been abandoned. It does not help that Haven for Hope campus is located just 2 blocks from the Bexar County Jail. But the existence of government or central facilities, while helpful, does not exempt us from God's command to love our neighbors. These facilities are good, but Jesus did not stay in one place and wait for people to come to him. Christ went out among the people, and, to follow the example of Christ, we too must go to meet the need. Across downtown, about 2 miles from Haven for Hope, the Christian Assistance Ministry, or CAM, continues to serve the needs of the homeless, who are reluctant to approach the Haven for Hope and all the police presence that surround that facility. On Sundays, CAM arranges for various churches to serve at Nolan Street under Interstate 37. Even with the Haven for Hope, over 100 homeless each week show up at the Nolan Street Bridge project. Used clothing is available, and fruit and wrapped sandwiches are handed out for a later meal. Back in Houston, Broderick Morris has arranged an interview with 2 homeless people in this house. No photos or videos were taken out of respect for their privacy.
Friends of mine that have been placed in a homeless way of living, and we want to just find out what happened as we conduct our group project for teaching the Bible. No name will be said, or all confidential will remain confidential at this time. Here, I have 2 friends of mine right now. I want to release some questions right now pertaining to what happened and their direction toward the church. Come on, y'all gotta talk to them. Come on.
Well, basically, my mother and my father died, and it just kind of like grieved me.
Yeah.
And to where I just didn't care what was going on in my life, and I just moved wherever I felt like going. I just moved, and it just took its toll on me.
And so, what happened in your life?
Man, to be honest, man, we were church. I grew up in the church. My grandparents was in the church. I grew up in the church. I didn't really care for the church. I mean, because I didn't really understand it. You know, to be honest, man, you know, I didn't. I mean, everybody was praying to God and Jesus, and for a long time, I thought they both was the same person.
Yeah.
And as I grew older and got rebellious, I just wasn't interested in church. I still had church in me, but I wasn't interested in going to a church. I loved it all. I mean, I loved a lot of the things that I learned from the church, but when I grew up, man, I mean, my dad wasn't going to church, and you know, he's a grown man. He wasn't going, so why would I want to go? Well, we had that opportunity. That's the kind of opportunity that we had. We wasn't forced to go to church after we got grown. So,
right.
And that's why I cut ties. But you know, that was one of my problems.
And this has led y'all to the street life for right now.
Yes.
Do you see any kind of direction, like directed back toward the medical facilities that governs our city of Port Arthur? Do any kind of church activities try to reach out to help open doors for y'all to, you know, try to talk to someone and try to reboot your life?
Oh, I get that all the time. As a matter of fact, I visit a lot of churches out here. I'm Catholic, but all the churches I've been attending have been non-Catholic, and I'm out here, but it's not like I've just given up hope. I still have a lot of hope in my heart, because I know the Lord is good to me, to let me keep on living.
That's right. And so, you know, as we have the medical facility on downtown, I know they try to offer help and aid, and we have the Salvation Army and the Port Rescue Mission that we try to get enrolled in any one of them programs. How do they treat you?
Man, I could be honest with you about that, man. I think a lot of those programs are rip-offs. You know, I'm not going to put a name on any one of them, but man, I know some of the people that's running some of those programs, and just as conniving as like they you know, they've been out there in the street and they know these games, or they playing games. They playing the same games that be played out there in the street.
Right.
You know. For as myself, I've been through a bunch of programs, detox programs, you know, and most of the I go to, and I've been to AA, NACA. Man, most of those people told me that I know enough. They wouldn't even accept me in a class no more, because they say I've been there and I know what I should. If the problem lies within me, not outside of me.
Right.
Because they said, most people already, and I know it myself, that I know it's a me thing. It ain't about nobody else. It might just be where I want to be at this time.
Right.
And that's the honest to God truth. I mean, a lot of times I wish I was doing better, but I really honestly believe that this is where I'm supposed to be at. Because like they say, I used to be like this, but now I'm like this. So, that's being honest with myself. You know.
So you saying homeless is better? Y'all get along better on the outside?
No.
The church?
No.
No, I don't think that's true.
Man, and I mean, to be honest,
yeah,
most of them churches, man, sending supplies to Ethiopia and places like that. When we got problems right here, you know, a lot of churches not open to the needs of. They are, but they not. You know, we wouldn't. I mean, there's some things that the churches just don't do. You know, and I could name a few, but then I'm not trying to cast stones out back at the people that are having stuff. But I mean, hey.
So do you think being homeless and going from place to place is better than trying to find God in? Or do you see God as you go from place to place? That's a good question. In your life, do you see Him blessing you?
I think homeless is not good, but I know a bunch of people that are dead right now, and not because, you know, they didn't have a place to live. I take him, I'm homeless, but he with me every day.
Yeah.
Because homeless people, stuff can happen to them. I can get hurt out here, but he keeps me living, and that's because he has a reason for me to be living.
Correct.
He's not through with me yet, and it's gonna get better for me. And I know that. I know that with all my heart.
Well, our time is well spent. We want to thank you for all y'all have done. In Jesus' name, we thank you so much. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
The problem of homelessness is complex and persistent. The causes are endemic to the fallen, sinful world we live in. And yet we persevere to strive to help our fellow human beings in addressing this basic human need. As the hands and feet of Christ, we are called to do what we can to alleviate human suffering in whatever form we find it, and welcome the stranger that is in need.